And that something just might change your life and actually make a damn difference in my life.
You're going to want to pay attention to this one.
Hey everybody, David Nagel. You're going to love this episode. So it's the thinking, it is the conception, it is the formulation of what it is that we want, and the ability, when he talks about expansion, the ability to create that without. In other words, to be it, to think it, to feel it, and to do it. And seeing this first intellectually, we shall gradually learn to use our knowledge practically and bring our whole person to bear upon whatever we take in hand. We shall find that there is a constant action and reaction between the infinite and the individual, like the circulation of blood from the heart to the extremities and back again, a constant pulsation of vital energy, quite natural and free from all strain and exertion. This is the great secret of the livingness of life, and is called by many names and set forth under many symbols in various religions and philosophies, each of which has its value in proportion as it brings us nearer the realization of this perfect wholeness. We know that our whole self includes the greater man, which is back of and causes the phenomenal man. And this greater man is the true human principle in us. It is therefore universal in its sympathies, but at the same time, not less individual of ourself, and thus the true man in us, being at once both universal and individual, can be trusted as a sure guide. It is that thinker which is behind the conscious mentality, and which, if we will accept it as our center and realize it is not a separate entity but ourself, will be found equally to every occasion and will lead us out of condition of servitude into the glorious liberty of the sons of God. Now, to wrap this lesson up, what he's really saying is that the more that we focus inward instead of outward, the more we focus on the completion, and even more importantly, the acceptance of that we really have to get to the point of accepting that idea within us in order to express it without. Until that happens, we will not stop looking for that completeness without. You see, we're always looking for the job, or we're looking for the career, or we're looking for the money, or we're looking for the external things to, really say, that we're a complete person. And if you want to break it all the way back down into our childhood, what it really is saying, we're saying to our mom and dad, have I done good enough? Will you now accept me? Will you now love me? And you have to realize that that is kind of an empty hole or an empty vessel, so to speak, that lies within the person that does not see the completeness within them. So they're constantly looking without. As we can build a new concept of what that looks like, that we're complete and everything that we need comes from Spirit, all the knowledge, all the how-to of anything that we need to do, everything comes from the same source and comes through a person. When we begin to do that, we literally begin to do great things. The desire and its fulfillment are bound together and cause effect. And when we realize the law of their sequence, we shall be more than impressed with the supreme importance of desire as the great center of life. Now, I want you to think about it like this. The desire to be great is the desire to create something which is not yet created. So what is it that when a person has a desire to be great is actually desiring? They are desiring to tap into the fullest potential of their own being. Now, here's the thing. People do this, I think, in stages in their life because Growth is something that is constant and needs to become part of a person's living value system, so to speak. In other words, it is the first, foremost, and most fundamental value that we have is our own personal growth. We pay attention to that, that becomes the center, that becomes the guiding compass of everything that we're doing. If something's wrong on the outside, we're going to go make an adjustment on the inside. When we feel the desire to do greater things in life or to be great at a specific thing that we're doing, that is the spirit working from the inside out, trying to produce greater things than what we have produced before. So it is literally, as Troward is pointing out here, it is giving us a guidance in the direction that we want to go, but we need to learn to follow it. In other words, in the learning of following it, what we're doing is we're obeying the law.
So then that was the challenging part, because that's when I started searching, when I felt like, okay, I'm really miserable. Like going to the office, whenever the elevator doors would open,
yeah,
I would feel this tightness in my stomach, because I knew like the toxic, just challenges throughout the day that were facing me on the other side of the door. I already knew what I was going to face for the day. And it was just exhausting, just taking those steps from the elevator to the front door leading to my office. And I was like, this is no longer my dream. And I have to find something that makes me feel interested, that makes me feel excited, that makes me feel alive, that makes me feel something. And that's when I started searching, because I realized I had gotten very depressed. I had gotten very heavy. And it was, that mindset, well, my parents, by this age, you should have this, you should have accomplished this, you should have acquired this. And I did all those things. And I found myself in a very dark place. And I'm like, well, where is this chapter in life? Because nobody told me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, what happens when you do all those things?
Yeah.
And then it became, for me, the pursuit to find myself.
But to go from what you were doing to be attracted to this gym, there had to be something in there that was like, it resonated with you on some level. Could you talk about that day?
Absolutely. That day, I was so angry. I was very, very angry at just everything, everybody, my career, just where I was myself. I was 220 pounds, and it was that, I let myself go, and all of that. I was so angry. And I knew that I needed some place to express that. I needed some place to release it.
Okay.
And I was just walking around. When I walked in, it was the sound. The sound what drew me in. The punching of the bag.
Yeah.
That's the language that we speak. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was drawn to it. Like even in my angry, like depressed and frustrated state. And I followed that sound up those stairs. And when I walked in, that's when I was overwhelmed by this feeling of just eyes and on me. And I could feel almost like an invisible wall, like pressing me out, like just get out, you don't belong here.
It's all guys, right? It's like, it's all dudes in there. Okay.
It's going on, 18 years I've been boxing. There were no women back then. There were maybe a couple women that went to the gym, but it was all guys. And I just violated their sacred space, being a woman walking into this space, and I froze. I was terrified. And a voice called out to me and said, "You're fat and you're here, so you may as well sign up."
Like a real person said this to you? Yeah,
that was the manager of the gym at the time. So, a real person said that to me. That was my intro to boxing, David. And,
welcome, my darling.
Yeah, exactly. It was none of that. It was like, okay, you need to get your shit together. Like, you're here, you're fat, this is what it is. They taught me how to claim my space, David. They taught me how to do that, because every time I would work on a bag, all of a sudden here comes some guy and he needs that bag. It could be 6 empty bags in the gym, but the bag that I'm working on, that's the bag that he needs. And after a while, I got tired of it. I said, after a while, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Nobody explained the rules to me. In the beginning, I thought, okay, I'm a woman. I walk into this gym. I guess I have to do what everybody tells me because it's their space. And after a few months, I'm like, No, actually, I don't have to listen to them. And actually, I need this bag. And actually, you're going to have to learn how to wait, or you're going to go use something else, but you're definitely going to get out of my face. So that like took time to get comfortable speaking up for myself.
You found your voice. It caused you to find your voice then.
It caused me to find my voice. I had no choice but to.
What was it like the first time you stood up to one of these guys?
It was the most terrifying joy I've ever experienced in my life.
I love it.
Because again, I wasn't used to communicating as a child. I wasn't used to communicating, so it's like we're always, I'll speak, personally. I was always used to internalizing and keeping all those things to myself. So, and keeping that rage inside. And I was like, wait, this is how I arrived here. Like, I have to let this go. And in letting this go, I have to communicate how I feel about this. And I have to communicate what I'm going to allow and what I'm not. So the first time, this was one trainer had it in for me every single time. Didn't matter what I was doing. My fighter needs this. My fighter needs that. But I'm working it. I don't care. My fighter needs it. Okay. So the first time, this guy come, and I was in my zone. I was feeling good. Like, it was the first time in a long time. I'll never forget that day, because I remember it was the first time in a long time that I felt joy, and I felt strong, and I felt tall. And I'm only 5'4", David. On that day, I felt 5'9". You feel me? And I felt so good. And I'm just, one of my favorite things in the gym is a speed bag. And I was working the speed bag, and it's a form of meditation for me. It calms my spirit, the rhythm.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm in the zone, and here he comes. And I didn't stop. And he's like, my fighter needs that bag. Did you hear what I said? My fighter needs the bag. And I stopped. And when I stopped, I just kind of paused and I took a breath and I looked over at him. And he did the feint. He kind of fainted back. And I said, you and your fighter, you can go use another bag. Then he's like, well, how long are you going to be? As long as I want. And then he walked away.
Brilliant.
And I was like, he walked away. Inside, I was like, oh my God.
So this metaphorically is you taking your power back from your family.
Exactly. Like, in so many ways.